Hello and welcome to part 7 in your video series of Pat Mahomes spreadsheet stuff. Hopefully your spreadsheet looks something like this on your screen. If you started this video, Google Classroom instructions were to input this data for the 5th game, which was October 6th against Indianapolis. And if you have not put in a logo yet, you can do that. Remember, that is under insert. Right there, you go screen clipping, but before you do that, you have to go find a logo on Google Chrome and then format the logo using one of the ways I showed you. So you should have each logo formatted. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. I think the glow behind the logo is pretty cool, but just do something in there to make it look nice. Also, I forgot to change my font for Indianapolis, so I will go find something for that, and I'll choose that one, but to make it fit, it's gonna have to be a little bit larger. So we'll go right there. Whoops, how's 22 look? Indianapolis. It's kind of hard to read. What if we did, that's too, I can try Broadway, maybe make it a little bit smaller. How about 18-point font? Try 16 maybe. All right, that works. Right there, the Indianapolis Colts. Put in a capital L there and make sure this stuff is matching there. Also, before we go on to something kind of cool I want to show you today, would you please make sure that column E, that all of these letters, either W or L, are capital letters. Because what I'm going to show you today is how we can have this calculate and keep a running total of what their record is. So to do that, and I just realized I left one thing out, didn't I? Touchdowns. He scored 1 touchdown there. So I guess before I go on, I'll show you all of this stuff should have recalculated. This number in L, I'm going to make my screen a little smaller so you can see everything at once, hopefully. That's close. As close as I'm going to get. Column L, touchdowns. Now the running total is 11, and all of your values down here should have changed as well, assuming you have your formulas in there right. His touchdown average dropped to 2.2 per game, and now his estimated total is around 35 touchdowns for the season, so we will see how that plays out in the next few weeks for us. So what I want to do now, I'm going to make my fonts a little larger now to hopefully help you see things. What I want to do is I want to insert some rows above this because I want to make a running total of the record, but I don't want to have to type in the record each week. I want that to do it for me, and there's a cool feature that will let us read whether this is a W or an L and count it for us. It's great. So to do that, I need some space. So I'm going to click over here in the gray over the 1. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to drag. Let's drag down to about, I don't know, maybe row 6, and let go of the mouse. And now you have this selected. And then over that, do a right click and do insert. And all we did is we inserted rows, 6 rows, because I selected 6. So you'll notice a few things happen. The new rows that came in are the original size of the spreadsheets. And then the cells that I had formatted, everything moved down, and the formulas changed for me according to the spreadsheet. So it understands what I want to do. I want to keep all the cells relative to how I programmed them originally. And I'm going to insert now a overall win-loss record for the Chiefs. So what would look cool is if up here I had a couple of rows or columns that were about the same width. This one is about 71, so I'm going to take column E, and I'm going to stretch that to about 71. Just get close to it if you can, because I want those to be the same. And I am going to go into cell D1 and type the word all capitals record. In D2 type wins, and then in E2 type losses. And let's go ahead and do some formatting with that. So what I want this to do is to be a win-loss record, and here will be the wins, and this will be the losses of their overall record, which is currently 4-1. But I don't want to type in the numbers 4-1. Again, I want it to calculate for me. All I want to do each week is put in these numbers and that number, and everything else calculate for us. Okay, so let's do some formatting before we go on. For this, I want to turn this into one cell, so let's click and drag D1 and E1, and maybe you remember this, merge and center. We're just going to merge and center that. That'll put record right in the middle for us. For wins and losses, let's click and drag and center those, and then we'll do some formatting of the borders later. But here's the feature. Let me show you how to program this. It's really, really simple. There's a command. So the first question is, do you remember what you always type first when you put in a formula? Hopefully you said to yourself, equal sign. So type in equals. Now type in the word count, C-O-U-N, and I would keep going, T, but right here is what I want. It says count if, and you have to double click that. Don't hit enter, hit double click. And you'll see what happened in the cell, and again it's happening up here in the bar. You see a parenthesis. What it's asking me now is for a range of cells. So I want basically where I start recording the wins and the losses, which is, it's covered up with this here, but that's column E, cell 9. So I'm going to click, hold, don't let go, and drag all the way down through week 16, which is row 24. So in here it should say E9 colon E24. Now you want to type a comma, and here's where it's new. Hit a quote and hit a capital W, hit the quote, and hit enter. And then right there, as long as you put it in the right cell, D3, you'll see it counted 4 W's. So you see the number 4, it's counting this W1 here, 2, 3, and 4. All right, now if we go on, and you can't see it the way, let me go back to make it smaller where you can see, hopefully. If we go next week, let's just say they win, as long as I put in a capital W and hit enter, it'll change to 5. Do it again, it'll change to 6. So it's counting capital W's for us there. It's great. So now we don't have to do that anymore, and we need to do the same thing for column E, or I'm sorry, cell E3. So we're going to again type equals count, and you find count if, double click. It's asking for the range. Select the same range. Make sure you go all the way down through week 16, again, which is cell 24. And hit enter. Oh, whoops, I hit enter too soon. It's saying you've entered too few arguments. I didn't tell it what to do after that. So click up here. That was my mistake. Hit a comma and a quote, capital L, quote, now enter. And it'll read the 1. And again, if they lose, if you put in a capital L, it will count it there. Now, you'll notice that if I do, oh, it does read a lowercase l as well. I didn't think it would do that. But it would look nicer if you just kept them capitals for us as well. Okay, so you basically have that fixed now for the rest of the season. You don't have to do anything, but now we can have some fun formatting it, trying to make it look like a real spreadsheet. So I'm gonna zoom back in here in a second. Press the wrong button. There we go. So let's make this look kind of cool here. So one thing that you might know about the Chiefs is their colors. They're gold and red. So let's make this just look a little cooler here. Let's change the font to red. And then let's paint this cell, just this cell where it says record. Let's paint it yellow or gold. That's as close as gold as we can. And then let's do something with a font here. I found one earlier that I thought was cool for this. And I thought it was this one, Algerian, but I want to make it a little bit larger. How about 18? Yeah, that's kind of cool. Now you might notice the cell will need to be enlarged just a little bit. So make cell 1 a little bit larger. You got record there. Now let's change wins and losses. Let's change that background, the paint bucket, to red. And let's change that font to gold. So you've got kind of a Chiefs theme here. And let's make that font, I'll keep that standard here, but I'll make it 16. Let's center these cells right here. And then again, we ought to make it a little bit larger as well, because this is obviously some important information. Now it looks good, but it doesn't look great. What would be really nice, let's click and hold If you click on record and drag down, it'll select all of those because we merged that first cell into two. Let's go up here to, you're on the Home tab. If you find this right above font, you have this little grid. These are borders. Let's do all borders. And then we get kind of a cool looking thing there that will show us the record every time we update our spreadsheet for us right there. Now if you don't like the space, we can delete two of these cells. So let's highlight cells 4 and 5. Let's do a right click, delete, and it'll shift everything up. It'll maintain the cells the same for you. So there you go, part 7. And so get that all updated and get that looking kind of like that. If you want to change the colors on this, just make sure that it's readable. So you should have very contrasting color backgrounds to the font if you do that. I like it like this because it's a Chiefs theme color right there for you. So hopefully you kept up. If you did, good job. And we'll see you next time.